Increased urbanization has had an impact on the rivers and streams that flow through Fairmount Park. Rainwater moves quickly from city streets to the park, and large amounts of water pour into small streams. Stream banks become eroded, and native vegetation is carried away. This native vegetation is vital to the health of the stream. Plants help keep streams healthy by decreasing flow and removing pollutants from the water. In this program, you will learn how to stabilize a stream bank using simple techniques, biodegradable materials, and native plants. Restoring function and vitality to the streams that flow through Fairmount Park is a challenging job, but it can be done with time, energy, and the support of volunteers like you. Materials for this project are coconut fiber logs, coconut fiber mats, 2 sizes of wooden stakes, 8-inch staples, twine, a variety of large needles, a dibble bar for making holes, and household gardening tools.
The whole process, installation process, and I'll leave alone the issue of design and everything else because that's a separate parameter. First day we come out, the construction crew comes in, the backhoe operator, whoever it is. Hopefully it's been staked by then. The backhoe operator comes in and starts grading that material off. So from the toe of the stream, which is just by the stream bank, back to that stake on a slope. And you see if you've got a trench. And by trench I don't mean anything deep, I mean something that's about 6-inch deep along the edge of the stream for the log to sit in. It needs to sit in there because you're putting aquatic emergents in there, and they need to be wet. You put the log in. The next thing we do is you take a 4-foot long hardwood stake. It's about 1.5 inches in diameter, 1.5 inches square, with a diamond point on it, and you put it through the weaving on the logs to stake it right through. You drive it in on an angle, and if you were to look at it, if this were the log, looking at it this way, the stake goes in on an angle like this, into the stream. That goes in all along. On the length log that we use, they're 10-foot logs. We use 3 stakes per side. So 3 in the stream, 3 on the bank. Those stakes get tied together as well. You go back in a figure 8, tying them together, and at least in a couple spots, taking that rope that you're using and twining it through matting on the log. Each log gets sewn together with the twine. And again, the whole concept behind it is that you are installing one big piece. The weakest part of a bioengineering project is the stitching. So if you've got it knotted, tied together really tight, it's not going anywhere and it's a big piece. You get several lengths of logs sewn together and staked on the stream side in. Then you take your fiber mats, which you choose by your stream flow, how tight the weave is on it. You roll the mat out lengthwise along the stream. Then we tuck the mat behind it, because there's a little bit of a valley. You tuck the mat underneath. You roll the mat over a little bit without undoing the tuck, and stitch it to the back part of the log. It's a little bit of a fold, and it's stitched. Almost a running stitch all the way along, an overlap running stitch. Once the mat's in, you peel it back into the stream or over the top of the stakes. You backfill behind it, either with shovels or you can use a piece of grading machinery to put soil in there to fill that gap between the bank and the log. You seed it, put grass seed down or a wildflower mix. We're using, and most people use, an annual rye mixed with some kind of wildflower or a wetland mixture. The annual rye comes up within a week if you get it watered properly. The rest of the plants come along later. The rye's an annual, it's gone next year, everything else is there. The mat goes back over it.
When more than one row of fiber matting is required to cover the bank, the next row is rolled out parallel to the first and tucked underneath it. The two are then sewn together. After stitching, the mats are secured to the bank using the following technique.
You take the 8-inch gauge staples, wire staples, and 15-inch wooden stakes, put them in every 2 feet. So you have a metal one and a wood one, and stagger them all over. You can continue down the stream depending on the length you're doing at that point. A lot of times we break people out at that point and have them start putting plants in. When you're doing the plants, the first part you plant is the logs, and we use a dibble bar, which is a big tool. You cram it all the way through. You put a little hole in there with your fingers. You break up the root mass on the plant, stick it way down in so that you can feel its roots touching the water. They have to be in the water. And then fill it in around with the fiber material on top of it to hold it. Then you do the same thing with the other plants up on the bank. And the spacing on those, in the logs you do them every 6 inches, front and back, kind of in a staggered diamond pattern. On the banks you do the same staggering, but you can clump them depending on how you want it to look, like a bunch of plants of one kind in an area. Generally you have to cut the mat to put things in the bank. Once the mat's cut and the plant's in, and you again break up the root mass to get it in there, nice little hole, stick it in, pack it down. You come back with twine and tie that thing closed again. You don't want the water underneath it at all, because it'll either lift the mat up or it'll rip out the plant, and either way it's not good. At that point too, you're in a place where you can start planting woody vegetation. If you look at a stream in natural conditions, you'll see large trees near the bottom, but going up the bank you see woody stuff, shrubs, red osier dogwoods, things like that go up until you get back to what would be called a forested buffer, and then you get full trees again. Then it's just continually repeating that process until you're done.
A lot of these things will grow fast, the grasses will, and those root systems shoot way down and they'll start to stabilize the bank, which is what we really want to happen here. This whole area will become a streamside forest over time. It'll take 10, 20 years. Most of the streams in urban areas, we've taken all the trees out, we've mowed lawns right up to the edge, and grass has a root system about that deep, and it just doesn't do you any good holding the banks. They're planting wildflowers, so it'll be good for butterflies, birds. My interest mostly in the aquatic, but it's going to benefit the whole terrestrial system as well.